And so, yeah, I think it's important to understand what we mean when we talk about peace and how we're measuring it. But I think fundamentally, it's this idea of, yeah, in ourselves, in our micro levels, individuals, our groups, our communities, our organizations, to mimic and mirror what it is that we want to see in the world, to really have the integrity and to stand in truth with what you're saying on your websites and your mission statements and your values. And it's very often that that's not represented within the people of the organization. And so that's one thing that my work is also trying to tap into, is to try to start to make organizations really tap into and feel more in integrity and more as a living ecosystem, and what does it mean for you to thrive and for you to embrace the complexity and the things that can make you survive in this world.
I also what comes up for me a lot is also like just being honest, because like all this all this bullshit marketing and this greenwashing and all this stuff where like all these companies have very similar messages and empty promises and things that are completely off track with what they're saying, what they're doing, and what they're actually doing. And let alone, and like you said, like all the people in the company actually living that as well, which is even the next step. But
yeah, I mean, this is the thing that we really need to invite innovation or new paradigms of how to, operate and innovate in a way that aligns more with these principles of life.
I do also feel like there is this change happening where it's becoming harder and harder for companies to say things that aren't true, because we notice
because there's more.
There's not just there's this more. I think we're as humanity, we're becoming more in tune with our intuition and with our deeper sense of feeling and all this stuff. And then there's also this whole democracy of information through social media, where like if someone gets called out, like through like if the right person retweets it or whatever, like the next day there's 20 million people that know it.
So the markets respond, like, so what is the intention of why they are advertising green, or sustainability? Of course, again, a lot of organizations, companies are, take that seriously to an extent. But yeah, I mean, nowadays, if you don't, or if you say something that goes against the existing narrative, it shows on your stock ticker.
Yeah, but it's also like, because now everyone says sustainable, then it doesn't really mean anything anymore.
But exactly. So there's a loss of meaning. Again, it's not just meaning about life, it's meaning about these words, right? They've been stripped of their essence. And so sustainability, in the realm of complexity, what does sustainability mean? And what does thinking long-term genuinely, you say it, but then you have, annual metrics where you're optimizing your entire foundation or organization or company to meet 10 metrics.
Yeah, and often it's the quarterly revenue
and it's a quarterly revenue, profit, whatever. And now, of course, there's some organizations and companies are, adding metrics to be more holistic, but it's not truly holistic. And it's very difficult to be truly holistic and very costly.
But it's more honest.
It's more honest, and transparency. And again, it's hard. And I think this is exactly where there's opportunity to kind of change some of the frameworks and incentive systems and valuations, right? Because, companies, when they optimize for 10 metrics, right? In a complex world, what happens is You are doing green, 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 green on these 10 metrics, but most likely you're externalizing harm elsewhere in the ecosystem. But you have no idea about it because you're not measuring it. You're not monitoring those things because you're monitoring for success. You don't always have the mechanisms to monitor for failure and adapt. So adaptive business is part of being a conscious business, is truly embracing mechanisms, processes, tools, budgets that allow you to be adaptive to what you're learning on a continuous basis. To see, okay, we're putting this thing out into the world. And again, this is in alignment with the principles of complexity, because one of the properties of it is fractal conception, meaning like an emergence, right? So you put something out into the world and like it'll start to have these ripple effects. And you can't see all of the effect, right? You can't see all the second, third order effects. But you can at least try to be a little bit more conscious in the unfolding of the thing. I say that, but I don't know if that's true or possible or even wise to do. But part of me wants to, be able to capture and be more sensitive and aware of what's unfolding and how we're affecting the world. Again, you have companies like social media, Facebook. Our intention is to connect people.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's also like disconnecting people.
But it unfolded in ways, it interacted. We had this great technology, interacted with the current human condition. And then, certain problems emerged from that, but also certain powers emerged from it as well. And so I don't know if we can say we can always like control and direct things towards a positive emergence or, but I think what it comes back to, okay, there are these properties that are important for us to really understand and harness and leverage. Again, around emergence, around fractal conception, around self-organization, because they have these like inherent powers to them, right? You're like playing with the game of life that has this force, you see it in nature, like, and then you thrive. Nature has all of the characteristics that a business wishes to have: resilience, adaptability, anti-fragility, sustainability, adaptiveness, all of it.
Yeah.
So it's ironic to me that we don't look so much to nature, because nature has done 3.8 billion years of R&D. But we don't ask the question. So it's interesting to me that we don't mimic it. And I think this is part of what I want to bring into my work more seriously is, this notion of let's ask nature, what would nature do? What would nature do? What would love do?